Fashionphile just released their 2025 fashion resale report, and let's talk about it. I feel like I need a break from doing all of the unboxings I've done recently. I've just been on a rampage, and you guys need a break. I need a break. Do I need a break? No, I don't. But let's just calm down a little bit and talk about something else and have a little bit of a more chatty video today. Now, I'm gonna do my best to channel Cassie Thorpe to cover this report like it's breaking news. Honestly, it's not. A lot of the things I'm gonna be covering today, we've seen it, and I'm just questioning their report a little bit, but I'll get to that in a second. I also just realized that The RealReal also had a resale report that came out back in June or maybe September. I don't know, it's kind of unclear, which nobody talked about. So let's be honest, the Fashionphile is just way better at social media and marketing in general than The RealReal, which I don't know if that's their business model. And what about Rebag, you say? I've written them off quite a long time ago, as I think many others as well. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll leave a link up to my ranty video up here and down below. If you also like this kind of video, this style of video where I do a lot of more opinions, let me know. I could definitely do a follow-up with The RealReal's resale report. It does encompass a lot more categories, whereas Fashionphile is much more curated. They only have a certain amount of brands and a certain amount of categories like shoes, handbags, mostly handbags. There's some watches involved, but The RealReal does cover a broader range of items. Speaking of resale and the resale market, shameless plug here. If you haven't seen my panic sell from last week, the week before, definitely go check that out because I am doing a reduction, price slashing, etc., etc. So go check that out and take a look at the Instagram post, Somehow Adulting 2, to see what prices have been slashed and stash yourself a good deal and, you know, pick up an item or two from my personal collection. Now, Fashionphile at this point is kind of like the gold standard when it comes to the pre-love market. You trust them, I trust them, and they have a beautiful reputation for good reason because they're pretty strict in terms of the items they bring in and of course what they post on their website for the resale. They come up with a very curated process and that is their business model, whereas The RealReal and, you know, Rebag or eBay or Vestia Collective, their resale model is kind of very different. Because of the beautiful reputation that Fashionphile has, they charge a premium for that, let's just say. It can get a little bit pricey. But let's see what they have to say. I already zipped through this entire report and I do have an overall opinion. Spoiler alert, it's not looking the best. I will poo-poo some of these options and I guess they collect their data to a certain extent. How they collect their data, I don't know the process of that. And as we go through this report, if I do own any of these items, I will bust them out, do a little bit of show and tell so that we have some eye candy to look at. If you stumble across this headless person talking and yapping away, let's have something to look at. So the entrances and exit, they talk about the Balenciaga bag, which is their most iconic bag before the whole entire debacle. I personally have one. You probably may have seen this on my channel, maybe not, but I've had this for I want to say close to 10 years now. I forget, but I have to look up when I acquired this. But this is one of my favorite bags. I just haven't worn it in forever. And I think this mini version in this brown color is just so iconic. And I love the versatility of it. If you want me to talk a little bit more about this handbag right here from Balenciaga, let me know. But oh, it smells so good. I miss this bag. Loewe puzzle, I did a whole entire video on the dupes that are out there and the comparison with the horse bag. I don't have this in my collection. I mean, this is a tried and true classic. So if you want to add a Loewe puzzle to your collection, and of course, I think it's because of the whole J.W. Anderson leaving Loewe, that's why there is a surge in the puzzles. However, there's a ton of pre-love options out there for fantastic price, including on Fashionphile's website. I think can't go wrong with that. It's beloved by a lot of people. Then, of course, you've got the Celine luggage. Now in the report, I think most of the people are having a resurgence for the bigger size. I personally had the Phantom one. It was just way too big, way too heavy. I let go of that. I've never even used it. I did talk about it in my entire Celine collection if you want to check out that video. The only Celine luggage I have left in my collection is this nano version. I love this bag. One of my favorite bags that's never, I wouldn't say never, probably won't leave my collections. You know, fashion is cyclical. With the new re-release of the Phantom or the luggage tote with updated, and I think if that wants to re-release, at least do some changes, you know, updates, modernize it to make it worth the price tag that you are charging. If they re-release the luggage tote and it looks pretty much like this, it's like, why are we wasting our time here? Moving on to the most shopped timeless treasure. Apparently the Speedy won the race. Looking at the Louis Vuitton Speedy, I mean, I guess to me, it's just so overdone. I never got the appeal of a Speedy. I mean, I had one and I was just like, ooh, this is kind of like the rite of passage and you need to have a Speedy from Louis Vuitton. And I was just like, within like 2 seconds, I was like, yeah, I don't get it. I'm just gonna let this go. I don't want this in my collection anymore. Just don't like the slouchiness of it. It's supposed to be a duffel and it's supposed to look like a little bowler bag, but then like at the bottom there is absolutely no structure. So it just, all of your items just kind of fall into a pit, into this little, I guess, sinkhole, and that's just not something I really enjoy. And then you got to get inserts, and I don't know, it's just something I don't really care for. I do like bowler bags, but I like the handles to be much longer. And of course, with Louis Vuitton, it just doesn't really appeal to me anymore when it comes to the monogram. I do have one Louis Vuitton bag left, which I'll show you in a moment here when we get to that category. If you must have that in your collection and it is your first Louis Vuitton piece, look on the vintage market. I know there are newer ones and I see on Fashionphile, they go upwards of $2,000, $1,500. You can look on the pre-loved market, you know, especially the Japanese market, $500 or $600. If it's a little bit beat up, it's your first bag, you know? Go for it. I think having a weathered Louis Vuitton is not horrible. Double flap, Chanel double flap. I mean, can't go wrong with it. Honestly, it's a classic. Would I buy this brand new? Absolutely not. I would highly suggest, I mean, I bought this one brand new. It's my first Chanel. I made the mistake of buying it brand new, but it was also back in the day where it was like about $6,000, not like the whole $10,000, $11,000, $12,000. I mean, yeah, $6,000 is still a lot of money. But I was just getting into Chanel and I was like, oh, I must buy brand new and must buy from the store. And I also made the mistake of buying a black bag, which I'm totally not a black bag person. Since I bought this bag, I realized that and have eliminated a lot of my black bags. Now, with this, it's probably the only brand new Chanel I will ever buy. So if you are looking for an excellent condition and a reliable source, I do recommend getting it from, or if you want to get it from Fashionphile, I think that's a good place to look at. There's a lot of dupes and fakes, and for a price, a piece that is like this amount of money, and you don't know Chanel very well, I would go to a trusted source like Fashionphile. Number 3, the Gucci Marmont. I'm just like, what? Why? This is so 2010. Like, why is this taking a resurgence? And to me, the whole Gucci double G's logo is just so overdone. And the amount of dupes and fakes that are out there, I'm just like, how is this number 3? There are probably 10 other bags that I can think of. If you want to look at Gucci, and Gucci is just such an iconic and very recognizable name, go with the horse bit. Like, why are we looking at the Marmont? I mean, it's not even a classic, I guess. It was literally brought on, 10 years ago, let's just say. Whereas the Gucci horsebit has been around for way longer, decades and decades. The crossbody craze, which is the next category, which number 1 is the Louis Vuitton Pochette Métis. I get it because I was part of that crossbody kind of craze. This is probably the only Louis Vuitton bag I will ever own in my collection moving forward. Never say never, but as of right now, that's how I feel. Love this bag. It's so durable. I like how it's the reverse monogram as opposed to the traditional monogram. It just gives it a little bit more visual appeal. Such a durable bag. The only gripe I have with this, mine hasn't done it yet, but I see a lot of people with pochette matisse and their canvas flipping upwards this way, and that's something I am very cognizant of and trying to prevent this from happening. Now, I don't use this very often. I do use this more so when I travel, just because it is such a durable bag. It's water resistant if you think about it. This is not the traditional vachetta. It is already treated, so I don't have to worry about it getting stained. So love this bag. I see the appeal of it. It's very functional. It fits a lot. It's also not a very heavy bag. So I do agree with what they're saying for the crossbody craze. Number 2 is Chanel wallet on chain. I have that as well. Such a versatile bag. I use it all the time, especially for work when I'm bringing a large tote bag and I'm going, to client meetings. I bring my laptop, my marketing materials, whatever I need to bring with, notebooks. And then at night, I go out to dinner. I don't want to bring a massive tote with me. I just pop out my Chanel wallet on chain, very prestigious, if you know kind of thing. And you could still use a designer bag without being too flashy. So 100% Chanel walk is definitely a classic that I think you should add to your collection. Again, the Gucci Marmont, really, like the camera bag, is Gucci paying Fashionphile to get their name on the top 3 lists? Because I do not agree with that. I did own the Gucci camera bag. I'm not a camera bag person. I don't know, the universe must hate me and want to make sure that anytime I wear a camera bag, I would flip it over somehow and decide to lose my wallet, my IDs and everything. So since multiple times have that happened, I had stopped wearing camera bags, period. I feel like the Gucci Marmont bag in any shape and form, camera bag or flat bag, is just so overdone. I do not care for that. Again, that's just my opinion. If you own it, you love it, continue to rock it, but please don't spend retail money. At least buy it from Fashionphile, because the prices have dropped significantly, not because the Gucci Marmont is so overdone, in my opinion, but also because of the recent news of, not recent, I guess it's not recent anymore, Demna moving over to Gucci. That totally did not help them whatsoever. Moving on to the next category, which is jewelry. And for those of you who have been with me for a while, this is my jewelry era. And I can't apparently say the word jewelry. But I have gone down that path a lot more so this year, because I feel like I have started to shy away from the big luxury, the legacy brands. It's like 2 extremes for me, Goyard and Hermes. And then the other spectrum, I spend my money and time and attention and resources towards indie brands. Everything in between, the big luxury brands, the legacy brands like Celine, Louis Vuitton, what else? Fendi, all of that has just been washed away, or even like Saint Laurent. I do not spend money at pretty much at all with any of these in-between legacy brands. It's just too extreme. And then from that pot of resources I have, the attention has been turned to jewelry. And my boyfriend is just ecstatic about that, because he has a much more appreciation for my interest in jewelry as opposed to handbags. He can relate to that a little bit more, especially when it comes to the timepieces. So kind of just zipping through this, just because my expertise, I'm still learning about jewelry. And if you didn't know, jewelry it's a slippery slope. The most basic run-of-the-mill pieces on the low end is on a high end for purses. So let's just say a Chanel bag, I got this around, let's just say $6,000 to $7,000. Back in the day, the run-of-the-mill pieces when it comes to a Van Cleef bracelet starts at $5,000 or $6,000 today. So, but now, and then if you get to the high jewelry with Cartier, Bulgari, VCA, any of these popular brands, legacy, they are just I'm gonna cry a river, or I'm just gonna have a heart attack looking at those prices. It is next level. It's not for peasants like me and you, or I guess mostly me. Top shopped jewelry. Tiffany oval choker. I'm not really into the whole dog tag kind of ordeal. And this is just I don't like a whole lot of writing on my jewelry pieces. So this is definitely not for me. And I'm kind of surprised it's at number 1, because I honestly don't see this much on social media. Number 2, Chanel costume jewelry has always been popular. I've never been into it just because I don't think it's worth the money. And you can see my biggest regrets with most YouTubers or people on social media would also say the same thing. Like, why am I paying $1,000, $1,500 for a plastic pearl, like a fake pearl? I'd rather spend money, which is a fraction of the cost if you think about it, for real pearls. I mean, yes, I know there are different grades. Now, number 3 is the Click Clack H bracelet. I do agree with that. So I do have one H bracelet. I did not pick the classic version. I did pick one where it's the leopard print on there. In my opinion, I love this. It's such a versatile piece. If you're gonna go with costume jewelry when it comes to Hermes, the Click Clack bracelet is kind of a must. Like, you should get one, but if you get one, you've had them all. It's like you've seen it once, you've seen all of them. So in my opinion, get one, but don't get like 10 of them. You do what you want with your money, but that's just my opinion. Like, you don't need like 6 different H bracelets or Click Clack bracelets. All right, just going down the list here, you've got the Love bracelet from Cartier. That is, it's overdone. It's so basic. Don't do it. I would highly discourage you to do it. However, they did release the new flexible one. What do they call it? Limited, unlimited Love bracelet. Maybe. I feel like that is a beautiful alternative if you do like the whole love story, which I, again, appreciate the historical kind of story when it comes to the Love bracelet. I would highly encourage you to look at the Panther line, the Clash line. That, in my opinion, is much more unique and special. Moving on to David Yurman. I don't particularly like David Yurman's aesthetic or style. It's more rustic. It's more, again, I don't know what the word is, but it's not exactly my particular style. However, I do appreciate David Yurman's bracelet because I think they're much more mid-range and much more accessible if you are starting. Again, they have like kind of like Gucci. I do appreciate this about Gucci. They have very entry level pieces where it's more silver oriented, and then they can go up to, you know, the high end jewelry pieces with gold and more delicate, more refined pieces. So I do appreciate that, but it's just not my jam. However, I do have this one, which is from David Yurman. This is for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I do have another pink one. You know, I did it because I like the pink, which I don't know where it is, so I'm gonna have to find that. So I do have one David Yurman piece. I don't know if I would add any more. Moving on to the next one, which is the VCA Van Cleef Vintage Alhambra bracelet. Call me basic if you want, but I do have one of these that I did pick up in Paris. I freaking love this thing. I would not get any Cartier or H bracelet anymore. Like this, one and done. Cartier, none and done. When it comes to Van Cleef, I want like a whole entire stack of them. I see more in my future. The Gucci trademark heart pendant. I have nothing to say about that. I don't like dog tags. I also don't like words on my jewelry. So pass. Okay, this is kind of an odd one for Christian Dior. This choker thing, I know this is a very classic Dior jewelry, costume jewelry. Totally not my jam either. I do like the chain of this. However, I just feel like when I think of Dior, it's very elegant. I think of Lady Dior. I think of all of the Toile de Jour prints. Keep coming back to the words elegant and classic. When I see this is much more edgier. Maybe they do have like the Miss Dior, that category, but I can't imagine myself wearing one of these chokers and then carrying a Lady Dior. It just clashes and it's not really the aesthetic I'm looking for. The next one is from Bulgari, which is the Diva's Dream Pendant. I know this line is very popular. It's very classic. It's got history. However, when I think of Bulgari, that's not what I think of. I think of the Serpenti line, and that's what they're known for. You know, either via the handbags, like just like Cartier, they're known for the Panther. What do I know, right? Time was money. Time is always money. Like I said, when I decided to purchase I'm gonna give up because I can't talk and put jewelry on at the same time. So I'm just gonna move on to the next piece, which is my Cartier Panther watch. I decided to purchase my big girl watch, which I told my boyfriend I was interested in doing so. He got so excited because he is a watch guy. The Cartier tank is something I do really like and I've been eyeballing. I don't really create wish lists, but it's something I keep coming and circling back to. So maybe if you want to hear about my jewelry wish list, or at least the ones that are living rent-free in my head, let me know, drop me a comment down below. And before I get into the rest of this, if you are new to my channel and enjoying my little rant and commentary here, do hit that like and subscribe button. If you don't follow me on Instagram, I post a lot of deals that I find on Instagram stories, so definitely follow me there as well, especially with the holiday season coming up. Any deals I find, you gotta hurry up and start click here to shop so that you can snag those deals, because a lot of times they do sell out with the best pieces. So definitely follow me there. And of course, drop me comments on which pieces is your favorite, which one do you have in your collection. Just talk to me. I want to have conversations with you down in the comments down below, because my boyfriend is crazy, thinks I'm crazy, not is crazy. He thinks I'm crazy where I talk about nonsense all day, every day. I'm getting a little bit more into watches and understanding and educating myself. Again, going with the watch lingo, it's kind of a different world. But it's kind of interesting, like how people can geek out and nerd out on watches, where it's just one thing on your wrist. At least bags, like, is it crossbody? Is it a backpack? Is it a shoulder bag? Is it a clutch? You know, there's a lot of different ways you can wear a bag. However, when it comes to watches, it's on your wrist. I guess it could be on both of your wrists. It could also be around your neck. I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot more limitations, and yet there's a whole entire industry that I don't understand. Maybe I'll learn more about it and share it with you. All right, moving on, just rapid firing here. Rolex Oyster Perpetual Date Just. I feel like there's so many different subcategories for them to say, oh, just the Oyster Perpetual Date Just. That's not specific enough. I feel like we can hone in on that. But there is one or two I have my eyeball on when it comes to Rolex. Is it at the top of my list? Not really. But yeah, let me know if you want me to talk more about that. Number 3, Omega Constellation Quartz. Honestly, as much as I really want to like Omega, because I love what the men's line have to offer, like the Moon Watch and all of that. However, when it comes to their women's, it's just so boring. Like, it's boring. I tried to like it, and I just can't get behind it. Same thing with Tudor. Tudor's women's collection is terrible. Cartier is doing so well. Bulgari is doing so well. They're not watchmakers. They're jewelry first, but yet their watch collection and their watches are dominating the women's market. And Omega, Rolex is kind of an outlier, but like Omega and like Longines, if I'm saying that correctly, they're just lacking behind. Tudor, same thing. They're lacking behind in the women's market. And women, again, we've talked about how there is luxury fatigue when it comes to handbags. They're starting to move to the jewelry world, including timepieces, right? And if you're not investing in that particular segment, which is women's watches, you are completely shooting yourself in the foot and you are missing out. My opinions, obviously. Moving on to bag charms. Don't care. Don't like bag charms. Moving on. Belts. Hermes Epson Kelly belt. I have 3 of them. This video is already way too long, so I would love to do more show and tell, but I recently did many Hermes unboxing. I have a whole entire playlist. Go check that out. I do show you the Hermes Kelly belts that I have. Freaking love them. Would buy more. I don't like to have repeats in my collection. However, when it comes to the Kelly belts, I will collect them all. All right, again, is Gucci paying Fashionphile to be on their list for every category? Because the Gucci Marmont belt is so overdone. I don't need to keep going on a rant about that, but no, absolutely not. Chanel calfskin, I guess, belt? I don't know. Who's talking about that? Who's looking for that? I don't know. Do you guys have a Chanel belt? When I think of belts, I don't think of Chanel. SLGs, wallets, again, just touching on this, I don't like to spend a whole lot of money when it comes to card holders. There's a philosophy of like, hey, if you want a taste of some, brand without breaking the bank or spending too much money, get an SLG from that fashion house. I get that philosophy. My philosophy is a little bit different. I don't want to spend like $800 on a wallet when that money could be towards a bag that is actually going to pair with my outfit. A wallet hangs out in your bag. Like, it's probably not going to see the light of day if you unless you're making a payment and grabbing some cash or grabbing a card to pay for something. And nowadays, we all pay with our phone. So when does the wallet come out? Not that often if you really think about it. So for me, it's just not a good ROI to be spending that much money on an SLG, says the hypocrite that just spent money on a Goyard card holder. I think that, I bought that last year. I don't think I've bought any more SLGs from a big luxury house that costs so much money. Most of my SLGs are probably $100 and under. Yeah, I can say that with confidence. All right, when it comes to sunglasses, Prada, Celine, and Chanel. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think these three brands are all made by the same company, Luxor, I think. But in my opinion, I think the 2, maybe 3 brands that I would buy from, because I think they're special. 1, Louis Vuitton. I do have these vintage damier shuffle. I think these are what they're called. Louis Vuitton sunglasses, Cartier sunglasses. I do enjoy. Everything else is kind of meh. Talking about textiles. Denim, not my jam, so I won't speak to that. I feel like denim should be on your legs and your butt as pants, not necessarily your bags. I like leather bags. I'm not super into fabric bags. And then the next category is suede. Love suede. I did a whole entire video focusing on suede bags. Now, would I drop thousands and thousands of dollars on suede bags? Probably not. I would go with the cheaper options like mid-range or, more contemporary if you want to test out suede. A lot of my shoes are suede because they're just really easy to take care of, not as hard as you may think. Get a suede brush, have a waterproof spray, and you should be good to go. If you want to try to test out suede and you're terrified of it, go with the mid-range. So go check out that video I have linked for you. Lame style, or I guess metallic. Metallic's not my thing, so I'm just going to skip over that, and I don't have too much to say about it. Moving on to shoes. The espadrille, I heard, is completely overrated. I get why they're a classic. It is very casual, also very versatile. I don't think they're very comfortable, espadrilles in general. The number 1 I completely skipped over. I don't really have much to say because I don't really buy designer shoes unless they're on super sale. I would never purchase. I'm going to eat my words here because I did buy the Hermes ship sandals and I kind of regret it. I just wore them recently. They are not comfortable. But however, the other Hermes shoes I did purchase were actually pretty comfortable, like the block heels. Did I buy them retail? Technically, yes. Also technically, no, because I bought them in Europe. So I did get a discount, but I did buy them retail in Europe. But it was still a discount compared to the US, and which is where I reside. I'm gonna skip all those shoes. I don't wanna talk about shoes. It doesn't interest me that much. Moving on to the Gen Z, like the different generations. Apparently Gen Zs are the Hermes hunters. I don't know, but because they didn't really show that much Hermes. They showed the Chanel, Louis Vuitton, and 1 Hermes bag. However, I agree with that because this Roulis bag is very underrated. Nobody really talks about the Roulis bag when they talk about Hermes, maybe like the mini, but the regular size, so underrated. Definitely have a look. I did a whole entire video. Go check that out. But I love my Roulis. It's such a great travel bag. Next generation, millennials, which is me. I'm part of this particular category, and I've talked about all 3 of these bags already. So reference to previous few minutes of my ranty video. Looking at Gen X. Ooh, this is interesting. All right, we already covered the jumbo or double flap with Chanel. Apparently Gen X like big bags. Do they have more stuff to carry? I don't know. You tell me. If you're a Gen X, tell me what kind of stuff are you carrying in these massive bags? Because I apparently don't carry too much. I have Tic Tacs. I have a cosmetic pouch from Dress Up Your Purse. My 2 phones, unfortunately. And that's pretty much it. That's usually what I carry. If I have a Saint Laurent Ecare shopping tote, I wouldn't know what to put in there unless I'm traveling. That's different. But if I'm using this on a day-to-day, I wouldn't know what to put in there. Same thing with the St. Louis tote from Goyard. I hate that. I poo-poo this bag so much, so I'm not going to keep going. However, if you want to check out really special Goyard pieces, I did pick up that I think is completely underrated. Go check out my Goyard playlist and my most recent collection or limited collection that I picked up in Paris. Those are special pieces. In my opinion, not the St. Louis, completely overrated. Now, the baby boomers apparently really like their Louis Vuitton. I can see that. I've noticed that to be a trend. Not that it's a bad trend, it's just not my jam. However, we talked about the pochette Matisse. This, the artsy, I don't know, it's just not a very convenient bag. I've tried that bag on before. It doesn't feel very convenient. It also is kind of heavy. And then this Empreinte carry-all. Okay, I mean, it's kind of no big deal. Like, to me, it's okay. And if you really enjoyed this kind of commentary, drop me a comment down below. But hopefully you got to see some of my eye candy. And maybe I could go over the real resale report and see what they cover there and if there's any correlation or similarities. However, do come back. I have a lot more unboxings that I need to get to. So I hope you will come back and see the goodies I have added to my collection. And not to mention, I need to clear out my closet a little bit. So do go check out my panic sell items that are still available. Thank you for those of you who already jumped on some of the items and picked it up. Hope you're enjoying your new pieces. Life is hard. I want to help you save time and money so that you can somehow adult easier and hopefully less than retail. I'll see you all next time.